Thank you, and I apologize for the delay. We'll go ahead and get started tonight. Good evening. Happy New Year to those who I've not seen. Welcome to 2025 and the Portsmouth Police Department's first Chief Forum. I am Stephen Jenkins, Chief of Police for the City of Portsmouth, and tonight we would like to go over a number of things, in particular our events from last year, giving some updates on our fourth quarter, along with our numbers as it relates to the end of 2025. We'll talk about some of our goals that we had for the police department, some of which we were able to achieve, some others that we had some difficulty in addressing, things like recruiting, retention, things of that nature. We'll also have a couple of initiatives that we're continuing to work on, in addition to some updates on some of the initiatives that we've been addressing for the last year and a half. We'll conclude with a brief presentation and then also open up for question and answer. All right, so for 2024, we started out the year, obviously, we had a decrease in homicides for our year, and so we wanted to make sure that we put some attainable, identifiable goals that we wanted to begin to look at. So some of those goals that we began to look at were having a decrease overall in our crime by at least 15%, and we were going to do that by utilizing intelligence-led policing, proactive community service aimed at disrupting criminal activity, improving public safety. We also wanted to set a lofty goal of having a 50% reduction in manpower. We wanted to increase our visibility by 20% by conducting additional traffic stops, particularly in our areas that were contributing most to our criminal impact, and along with increasing our community engagement. So as we continue on, we'll be talking through some of those goals for 2024 and how they impacted us, and then we'll continue to go along through that. So as we go through, we're going to address crime numbers update for the last quarter. In addition to our homicide 3-year comparison, I'm going to give you a highlight of our Bold Blue Line initiative, along with our multi-year strategic plan accreditation update. In addition to that, update on our Portsmouth United community engagement, our 2025 Portsmouth Police Department goals, and then our question and answer period. So for our fourth quarter in violent crime, and we had was a challenging month for us, time period. During that time frame, we had 8 homicides that occurred across the city. Those homicides represented a even break for us during that time frame. We also ended up, and for the 3 previous periods, we had all realized a decrease in violent crime up until this point. As you see, we were broke even in our points of homicides. We were up in our areas of rape and robbery. We had a significant increase in our areas of aggravated domestic assault, shooting into occupied dwellings or vehicles, and also aggravated assaults as it relates to our incidents across the city. As it relates to property crime, you'll see that our property crime decreased significantly across. Those things were our burglaries, our larcenies from buildings, our larceny of motor vehicle thefts. If you remember, at one point we were having significant issues as it relates to catalytic converter thefts, things of that nature. So those things went down tremendously. One of the things that really dramatically went down across the region and also here in our city was motor vehicle thefts. We had a 25% decrease in motor vehicle thefts. If you remember, at one point we were dealing significantly with the TikTok challenge of larcenies of motor vehicles from Hyundais and Kias, things of that nature. We can't, nobody's can really able to determine what stemmed the tide of those, that decrease. We can't point to an arrest of a group of individuals or anything of that nature, but we also realized this regionally a significant decrease, and so we were all looking at to as quickly as it rose, it went away. So overall, our numbers for the fourth quarter, we ended up with an 11% reduction in overall crime for the fourth quarter. Again, violent crime really suppressed our numbers. And so as we talk about the numbers only represent half of the story. The numbers tell the real story, but the other part of it is it's not just about the numbers, it's about the ability to make people feel safe in their communities, the ability to be able to walk the street and understand that they are safe in their neighborhoods. So for the ending of the year 2024, we ended up with a 17%, almost a 17% reduction in overall crime, violent crime, and larceny. These are the numbers that we report to the FBI that we're required to report. We ended up with 36 homicides for the year, 3 fewer than the year before. We had significant decrease across the board in our overall numbers. Obviously, there were some anomalies. The forcible sodomy was disturbing, but obviously it is not a serial event where we have some unknown offender out committing these acts. In addition to theft or purse snatching, most of these, upon review, domestic related, things of that nature. So we don't have a person out snatching ladies' purses and things of that nature. Now I say that, but I want you also to remain vigilant while you're out, because again, anything can happen. We remember the unfortunate incident that took place at the Walmart, where we had an individual that was suffering from a medical episode and walked into and randomly stabbed a patron of the business. Luckily, that individual survived his injuries. But again, it just points to the picture of always remaining vigilant when you're out, because these things can happen anywhere. So again, the almost 17% overall reduction in crime is something that should be celebrated. When we look at, additionally, with that, as we go forward, our 3-year comparison of crime as from 2022 to 2024, what is encouraging about these numbers, if you're looking in 2022, we had 179 individuals who were shot in the city. As you compare that to 2023 and 2021, you'll see that number go down. And what is also encouraging is in the green, that is the number of these shootings that were solved. And so in 2022, we had 35% of those shootings that were solved. When you compare that to 2024, there was 61% of those shootings that were solved. And so there are a lot of encouragements with that. A lot of that can be attributed to community stepping up and getting involved with providing information on these shootings. But additionally, our advances in technology have really helped us get ahead of and develop some leads when things happen in our community. And so these are favorable numbers as we see the number of shootings drop over the course of the city. So one of the things that did take place during the fourth quarter to hopefully help stem the tide, back in November, I had an opportunity to have a pretty much an all hands meeting with several individuals from both state and local partners. Those individuals included our Secretary of Public Safety, Mr. Terry Cole. We had individuals from ATF, DEA. We had the Director of Juvenile Justice that was here, and also Director of Department of Corrections, in addition to members of the Virginia State Police assist us. During that time, we discussed several issues that we were facing within the city and looking for assistance for what they would be able to assist us with. The Virginia State Police, along with ATF and DEA, all pitched in, particularly during the month of December. We had about 12 troopers that came down specifically to assist and ride with our police officers throughout the city. During that time, that 2-week initiative, as you can see, there was a significant amount of activity that took place during that time frame. If you just look at this area here, you'll look at there were 21 initiated felony arrests, 21 misdemeanor arrests. We arrested 23 individuals who were wanted for felonies, 16 individuals who were wanted for misdemeanors. But in addition to that, there was a significant amount of fentanyl, cocaine, and things of that nature that were taken off the street. That was all favorable, and in addition to that, the state police, along with those individuals, continue to partner with us today. We were successful with some negotiations to get some additional troopers in the area to be able to assist us with. You may have seen them helping us on 264 over the last several weeks, and they continue to remain in the area. We do hopefully encourage to have them back here in a very near future. Obviously, I don't want to give the time frame. Myself and the superintendent, the Virginia State Police Superintendent, have had some dialogue last week about when that next initiative will occur. Obviously, when you see the state police here to assist us, I follow social media just like everybody else. One thing I've learned in this job is you're not going to be able to please everyone. So there was a number of folks that were the months before were screaming about calling the National Guard in, calling the state police, and so when they got here, then it was like, hey, they need to hurry up and go home. I would imagine because some individuals had probably gotten caught traffic stops and things of that nature. But whatever the case, the goal here for us as a department, for me as a chief, and for this city, is to make our city as safe as it can be. And so that's what I'm committed to doing. So wanted to go over a couple of things that sometimes that information that we frequently get asked about that we have put available for you all to be able to see, to hopefully keep you informed on some of the things that not only are going on in your neighborhoods, but up to date on crime numbers. This information can be found on the Portsmouth Police Department's website. It is located under crime. And so if you click on this particular post, it takes you to a number of things. So one of the things that we do weekly, every Monday, we put out weekly crime numbers for our crime numbers year to date. And this is broken down by district. Each district encompasses areas within the city, and the neighborhoods are associated with it. So if you're curious to what district that you live in, the information is there. Now, one of the things that's important for you to remember when you're looking at statistics is that these numbers are dynamic. So a report today that may have been unfounded or cleared as a result of not having any evidence may change later on with some additional information that may have been provided. So it's just be mindful that these informations are not necessarily stagnant. In addition to that, one of the things that people often asked about is information on what's going on the street. So if you go into our Police to Citizens part of our daily bulletin, what you'll see is information on incidents that have taken place throughout today. They give you the area that, block area that it took place in, along with the nature of the call. Some of it will give information as to who was, if it was a person that was actually arrested, it will provide that information as well. You can search by event by putting in the address. If you have a case number associated with it, that information is also available to you as well, along with event map that will show you calls that are currently going on within the city, okay? These are current CAD calls that have occurred throughout the day as it relates to calls for service. And of course, as you can see, we've been, for a Wednesday, we've been very busy. And so you have an opportunity to kind of go in and just look at the activities of the Portsmouth Police Department. Here, in addition, there is an opportunity for you to provide feedback, whether it be positive or negative, or even ask questions of that. And of course, you have the ability to file an online report. Obviously, the first and most important thing is that the report does need to have occurred in the city of Portsmouth, okay? It does need to have occurred in the city of Portsmouth, right? And then finally, there are information on wanted people. So I think, like, I've seen received several bits of information that we had taken this down. Obviously, I wanted to put that out publicly, that the information does exist. It is on our website, available for you to find just at a click of a button. Now, we are currently working on, in our final stages of completing a multi-year strategic plan for the police department. This is intended for us to be a roadmap of things and tasks that we want to complete on how we improve, not only as an organization, but we improve both personally and professionally throughout. So some of the things that we have committed to building upon, obviously, and most important, is recruitment and retention, our capital improvement and equipment needs, civilianization of duties, community and crime reduction, offer the wellness and safety, training and education. So once this is completed, we look forward to having it completed hopefully by the beginning of the second quarter for release. I would encourage you all to take an opportunity to review it. And again, just like most documents, is a living document. So we are looking for suggestions, if you have, for some of these improvements that we have throughout the department. Now, providing an update on our certification, or our CALIA certification. For those that don't know what CALIA is, it's a national certification that basically says that we as a police department are operating under the best standards for police organizations as it relates across the country. We have been working on this for quite some time as an organization, and are approaching to begin our web-based assessment for this, slated for March 7th through the 15th, and then hopefully an on-site assessment in April, followed by, fingers crossed, accreditation in the summer of 2025. So again, this will be a monumental achievement for us as an organization. And kudos to Ms. Hopkins and her staff who've been working diligently getting us to this point, along with all the other team members associated with this. This brand means a lot for police departments across the country. So Portsmouth United. Portsmouth United was an initiative that we, as an organization, started that was intended to be a city endeavor to help us deal with community-based violence by integrating all levels of Portsmouth, whether it be community services, whether it be nonprofits, community-based organizations, city departments, hospitals, you name it, into one-stop area for collaboration on best how to deal with violence within our city. Obviously, we were fortunate enough to receive Safer Communities grant through the state to assist us with this. And I'm proud to say that out of the individuals who received this grant, Portsmouth is the furthest along with the implementation and what was required for us by the state. And so that is all favorable for us. I have Ms. Chantel Matthews, who is the coordinator for Portsmouth United, who meets with our folks weekly, provides updates on our initiatives. And again, it's a good opportunity for individuals to not only find out resources for folks, but opportunities. We created a victim crisis stabilization program that assists individuals who are victims of violent crime that is based solely out of the Portsmouth United through the police department. Those right now, we are probably one of the only departments around doing that. And so that is some of the cutting new type of advances that we're trying to do to help provide people resources, but also encourage them to participate in the process as it relates to hopefully getting some successful convictions of folks who are committing crimes in this city. Now, just a couple of the community engagement. We did a lot of community engagement last year. We probably had about a 30% increase in our engagement. Everything from obviously our community walks, our reset walks, of course, Coffee with a Cop. One of the things that our community our community enhancement officers do is they have put on a senior workshop yearly for the last several years. This workshop is intended to provide our seniors, who sometimes are those individuals who are victimized often by not knowing some of the new trends and scams that are out there, providing them the most up-to-date information on how not to be a victim within the community. One of the new initiatives we came out with, this was started by Lieutenant Parker, was we identified our top 10 locations throughout the city and for larcenies. And Lieutenant Parker had a simple idea. He would create this QR code, and in every single one of those businesses, the requirement would be for the officers working in that area to get out, go in, scan that code, have some dialogue with the owner, spend some time. But again, it was a reinforcement of us engaging with the folks and to hopefully deter some of the activities that were going. This program has been so successful that we've had other city stores begin to reach out to us to see if we could implement that there in their city. Obviously, that needs to go through their department. But again, just a simple idea, but of getting folks back engaged to doing police work. Cops and kids, something that was done right before Christmas. this was a tremendous endeavor that was done in conjunction with the Communities of Change in the police department. So we had well over 100 kids that participated in this event. And we were able to take them to the local Walmart and allow them to purchase items from Walmart. And I can say as a police department, we had probably some of the most officers attend this event and participate. One of the things that is important to note, because we often get a lot of sometimes people say things just out of ignorance, I guess. The amount of police officers that were there at that particular time and things of that nature. What you don't take into account is some of those officers had worked all night, they had gotten off, and because it was important enough to them, they took the time out, missing sleep, to be able to support this. Some officers even took time off from when they were home with their families to get dressed and come in. So these are the type of folks that work here in this city and are doing the thing. So at no point in time did we have any impact to reduction of staff to be able to respond to calls for service, but we were able to support this event, and it was a grand event. So kudos to the folks that put that on. And finally, again, we highlighted on the community walks. We will be starting our summer bike ride initiative again it's going to start in March, going to start in March. And so we'll be reaching out to the civic leagues and we'll also be doing it through the week as well. And so the goal here is not only to have police officer presence in the neighborhoods, but also to encourage individuals to get out and come out and ride with the officers as we have dialogue throughout the neighborhood. It really is a good opportunity for some good interaction between police and citizens. Now, these are just a few of the goals that I've we'll be putting forward for the 2025 year. And again, we have a lot of goals throughout for our department. But importantly, we're looking to have a 20% reduction in crime overall, followed by a 10% reduction in homicides. We would hope to have a 30% reduction in our vacancy rate. We're looking at changing up the way that we recruit. And so hopefully that will pay some dividends for us. We're in the process now of delivering a service level agreement for all citizens, similar to something you may see in the business community. What that means for you is not only do we want to ensure that you know what services that we do provide to you, but also what level of service you should expect, and then begin to be able to put measurables on those things to make sure that we are being operating efficiently as possible as it relates to delivering those services. So to give you an example, if I say to you, if you're a victim of a crime, say a paper crime, and you file a report, I should be able to say to you, if you file the report on Monday, you should expect by Thursday some contact from the police department. So we want to be able to not only put that out so that you expect it, but then we want to make sure we're measuring as to whether that is happening. So at the end that we can say, we had this amount of reports that were taken in. Hopefully we were 100% response rate of those particular calls. If we're below that, we want to be able to point out what were the challenges and hopefully work through improving that. Obviously, we talked about accreditation. That is huge for us. We want to directly address and tackle the recidivism of repeat offenders by 25%. So why is this important? So we spend a tremendous amount of time arresting the same people. And I could dedicate a whole forum specifically to that. I can, so one individual, all petty offenses, and when I say petty offenses, I'm talking larcenies, petty larceny, not shoplifting, trespassing, drinking in public, but we arrested this gentleman 12 times last year. Okay, so and again, that's just arrest. He had over 81 encounters with police. So again, every single time that individual was arrested or we encountered, that takes us time away from addressing some of the more important issues. We have some more individuals who we've arrested who were extremely violent, and they were arrested for violent offenses, some of which have been arrested 5 to 7 times within a year for gun-related crimes. The question that has to be asked is why do these people continue to remain on our streets? Obviously, if I can point to you and show that the police department made an arrest of an individual, again, as I've said before, there are other parts of the justice system that all have to function together. Some of you, I did have an opportunity to meet with the Commonwealth Attorney earlier this week. We did discuss some things, and hopefully we will be able to push forward some initiatives that will hopefully streamline some processes for that. But again, that has to be addressed because those individuals that we've identified have to be prosecuted and have to be kept in jail. We can't imagine being a police officer, arresting someone only to see that person right back out. You really have to ask yourself, why do I continue to put effort into this when there's no real result in that? And so we really need to address and identify what that looks like. We're looking at ensuring that we start the Portsmouth Police Department's truck weight enforcement unit. That's come up several times through City Council, through things of that nature. And so that is specifically looking at addressing vehicles, specifically the heavy vehicles that travel our roads, and ensuring that they are in compliance with the mandate by the state for the prescribed weight for their vehicle and what they can transport. So we're looking at ensuring that we have that. And finally, just again, one of the goals is to create a front-facing public gun violence dashboard for the city. Right now, there are about 35 across the country. And again, this is intended to provide information specifically as it relates to gun-related crime. It's an educational component for the citizens to know where it's happening. One, so if you are an individual that has a service that you're looking to be able to provide, you know exactly where these areas that are most affected and where your services are needed, okay? Now, before we finish and start taking question and answer, I'd like to bring Detective Michael Holly up, please. So while he comes, Detective Holly is one of our detectives in our criminal investigations unit, and he currently is assigned to our special victims unit. So what makes him special is Detective Holly exemplifies what is best of a police officer. He investigates some of the most sensitive cases that we in this department get: our sexual assaults, child abuse, missing persons, with passion and meticulous attention to detail, ensuring that each and every victim's story is heard and validated. Notably, he has successfully tackled multiple child pornography cases that have been taken to the federal level. Those cases require months of painstaking investigation and collaboration with the United States Attorney's Office. Some of the cases that he had here recently resulted in one individual getting 21 years and another one getting 15 years. Additionally, Detective Holly recently started for us our own cyber crimes unit, specifically with addressing internet crimes against children. It's one of those things that I could tell you some stories about of why we don't have one. but it's one of the things I thought it was important that we do have. And when I approached him about his willingness to do it, he didn't hesitate, and has all I did was say, "Hey, will you get it going?" And he's done everything needed to get that supported. And he's displayed exemplary dedication to our community and significant impact to fight crime against child predators and violent crimes. He is a contribution to this department and to this city, and I'd like to give him his due. Thank you. All right, question and answer. Go ahead, sir.
If we can wait until we have the mic. Thank you. It's just because we're live streaming it. We want the citizens to be here. Thank you.
I know there was a recent announcement that there is a freeze on federal funding. The Portsmouth Police Department obviously is a city entity. However, is that freeze going to affect the Portsmouth Police Department at all?
So I believe the most updated part of that is I believe some of it's been rescinded, at least the explanation that we got earlier today. So the truth of the matter is we have no idea what that is going to look like and how it will affect us as a law enforcement entity, here in Portsmouth or across the state. Obviously, we are committed to doing, what we can with what we had. And so, hopefully, the president has been very adamant about his support of law enforcement. Obviously, our city council has been supportive of us. And so, obviously, I'm hoping that whatever happens, that law enforcement is not affected. Yes, ma'am.
Speak loud enough. Is Kalia a state or federal? A state or federal?
It's a national accreditation. Vallepsi, Virginia, is our state accreditation, but we're going after a national accreditation.
So then it's state?
No, ma'am. Kalia is national.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That's what our intention is, to get the national accreditation.
And does that fall under the Inspector General's
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So Kalia is a private association of individuals who came together and put together best practices. Many of them former chiefs from across the country and other professionals, doctors, things of that nature, who have all basically put standards on, if your organization of a certain size, you should do this or you should have that. But also, and more importantly, if it's in your policy, and are you doing what you say that you're supposed to be doing? If I say that I'm supposed to be having vehicle maintenance checks every 30 days, am I actually doing that? It is reaffirming that we are doing what we're saying we're doing as an organization. And then if we're not, it gives us an opportunity to adjust, to make sure, give checks and balances for audits and things of that nature. So that does not affect us with the removal of those individuals.
And one other question. I watched the meeting, the last meeting you conducted, and you talked about recruits being trained by the city of Portsmouth and then being recruited by, specifically on that one, I thought it was Virginia Beach. Is that still going on, or has there been a notable change? Because I saw in one of your bullet points, you were talking about recruits and being retained.
Yeah, so recruiting is always a challenge for us. Retention is a challenge for us. Right now we attend a regional academy. And so we do not have the opportunity to train our folks from start to finish. For me, that is a problem, and I will continue to say that. But for what we have, that gives us the best opportunity to send our recruits, and then we bring them back and begin to train them to be able to work in an urban environment. Again, challenge for us is when you go and make relationships with people that you don't necessarily end up working with. An individual that, let's just say, works in another city that does not have the volume that Portsmouth does, sometimes can be enticing if you are looking for a different style of policing, I guess I should say. And again, there are a lot of different police department, the police agency across DMV. We have Port Authority, we have universities, we have other cities, we have rangers. And so if you want to be a police officer, do law enforcement, there's a lot of different opportunities for you to do it. And so working in Portsmouth, let's just be honest, it's a challenging city. There's a lot of folks that work in other cities that can't work in Portsmouth. Let's just be factual. But I also will say that there are not many organizations that will not hire a Portsmouth police officer simply because of their level of experience that they get relatively quickly based on that volume. I have some real heroes here, and those are the folks I'm looking to keep, but also attract folks that want to be a part of making a difference here in the city. Next.
Good evening, Chief.
Hey, sir.
I'm here with several other owners of the Old Town Commons condominium.
Yes.
And we're still experiencing weekend problems at 2 a.m., at 4, all the way up till 4 a.m. when the two locations let out their people after the last call. And after the shooting back in October, the police were patrolling Middle Street Garage with their lights on. Usually in that time frame, we haven't seen it quite as much as it used to be. Is that something that's still ongoing that we can count on?
Yeah, so I have not rescinded that we are still patrolling that. In addition to that, I am trying to work with City IT to actually have the cameras that are in that parking garage feed back to our real-time crime center for monitoring. So I'll just address, there were some things that were told to us that would be occurring that did not occur. And from a law enforcement perspective, I don't have a way to enforce certain things that are not criminal, if that makes sense. So I remember being told about a young lady who held up a decibel meter, who lives outside of that establishment. That decibel meter rose and went down from in between 48 and 50 and things of that nature. So when I did see it, the first thing I did was go to the city code to review what the city code says. So if you live in a residential area, city code says 55 decibels is what is considered too high for a residential area. But if you live in a commercial area, 75 is considered too high for a decibel area. So if you're looking at noise, there's not a violation there. That is something that really and truly is going to have to be looked at from a level a little bit higher than me. Because again, you have to remember there was at some point an approval process that was given to allow that to be there. All right. When you live in a downtown area, specifically around bars, things of that nature, there is a delicate balance between the ability to be able to operate a business, but also maintain a expected quality of life for the residents that live there. So I think most folks are comfortable with 2 o'clock, folks getting off. The 4, 3 and 4, 5 o'clocks, when I got to get up to go to work, things of that nature. So I know that our council is committed to kind of looking at some of those things, but we continue to work with The owner, who does employ officers to work out there and address some of the security concerns. During that, there was a situation that occurred late November where individual was thrown out of the establishment, did not leave, actually went to the car, came back with 2 firearms and was seen passing them to a person that was in the doorway. Luckily, officers saw him passing it. He attempted to flee, was taken into custody. Both firearms were recovered, and he recently just was convicted in court. And he lived in the city of Richmond here visiting for whatever reason. So again, challenges that are associated with living in our area. I saw a fight on social media at Longboards just after the Commanders game that was mimicked something you would see in a wrestling match. Again, alcohol and testosterone sometimes don't mix, but we have not pulled back any measures as it associated with ensuring that we have personnel down here. In fact, we've even committed an additional resource down here to work with specifically with the business and trying to address some of the concerns, reestablishing our 215 beat officer to be down here. Anybody else? Mighty quiet tonight. Okay. All right. So you have some.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, sir.
This is the second time I've heard about the commercial enforcement unit, and I'm just kind of curious, having not been around what happened in the past, what does that entail? Is it involving stopping trucks? Is it involving setting up checkpoints near major commercial locations? How does that work functionally?
So they would, again, randomly do just like you would for weight stations, set up and have individuals drive over, do weighing of a vehicle. Generally, a vehicle, if they're going to be overweight, has to have a trip permit to basically those funds are remitted to be able to help pay for expected damage to roadways. And so there is a level of revenue that's generally collected, obviously, to be able to offset some of the damage that occurs. So, obviously we want to make sure that folks are in compliance when they're traveling our roadways for the safety of the citizens, but also if they're going to be out here traveling, and if they're tearing the roads up, that there's a way for the city to be able to recoup and repair these roads. We get a number of complaints, and just a couple of things real quick on while we're talking about the trucks. So there are specific areas where people can park vehicles. Parking vehicles within neighborhoods, it continues to be a problem across the city. However, there are some areas that are zoned as mixed use. And if it's zoned as mixed use, then there's not something readily you can do about it unless it's rezoned. So one of the things that we are definitely going to be doing in the coming months is particularly the ones that we know are parking in residential areas, you'll start to see warning signs, which will be the first thing that they will see. Hey, this is your warning. You are parked in a residential area. And for the educational part, followed by continuous citations until they get it. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be doing to address, but also working with traffic engineering to increase our signage to determine exactly where people can park their vehicles.
And I know right after that Baltimore bridge strike, when that bridge was hit, the city was flooded with commercial container pulling trucks on all the side streets and a lot of the businesses and stuff like that. And they resumed their operations there, but have we noticed things getting better, or have people gotten in the habit of, doing exactly what you're describing, parking on the streets?
Yeah, so things have gotten better. There were a few when it very first happened. We had trucks a little bit everywhere, but some individuals have gone and created businesses, rented out lots, things of that nature, to be able to take their containers, things of that nature. Obviously, it's can be a task to get in and out of the ports when you're trying to get a container, drop it off, and get as many as you can. And so what we effectively were seeing was folks pulling as many containers out at one time and just dropping them all over the city and then coming back and picking them up. So I do know that some of those larger businesses that were receiving the volume have relocated to various other parts, some outside of the city. So it's not as big as an issue as it was when it first started.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chief, could you speak to the Real-Time Crime Center and FUSIS, the impact that that's having on your operations?
Sure, absolutely. So so FUSIS was a part of our Real-Time Crime Center that marries up with our automatic LPRs, license plate readers. And so one of the things I can tell you that FUSIS has done Flock has done for us is that it's given us an opportunity to be able to be a lot more responsive when it comes to crime. So I'll give you a couple of incidents that here recently where we have an officer responding to a crime, and when he gets there, all he has is a suspect vehicle. He goes to an alternative tack and says, police officer to Real-Time Crime Center, and tech chimes in, hey, I'm looking for a black vehicle that was in this particular area. Obviously, we're looking for a little bit more than just a black vehicle. It could be a pickup truck that just had heavy front end damage from a hit and run. Well, guess what? You put that in, it gives you what vehicles were in a particular area. Again, it narrows down those things to be able to give us investigative leads. It's been very helpful with us in addressing some of our violent offenses, but not just violence. So here's the benefit of having automatic LPRs. Imagine you have an individual that you live with who is suffering from earlier onsets of Alzheimer's or dementia, and somehow gets their car keys or something of that nature. How we're going to find your family is we're going to put that plate in and figure out where that vehicle was last seen at. And so rather than us just traveling all around the city looking for a red Kia, and for anybody that has a red Kia, when you see one red Kia, you're going to see 20 red Kias. Now we're able to narrow it down to a particular area to be in, whether it be in our city, whether it be in Norfolk, whether it be in Virginia Beach, because collectively, this is one of the things that we've really gotten right as a region, with being able to all communicate with each other when it comes to incidents. We had a shooting that occurred outside of Norcom, midsummer, August. Within minutes, we tracked the vehicle to Norfolk. And so, under normal circumstances, we wouldn't have had any idea where that vehicle went, but we knew moments later it was in Norfolk. Those things are all great tools for us, and it cuts the investigators' time down with having to search for leads that are sometimes needle in the haystack. It gives us just a little bit more an advantage to be able to do some of the things that we're trying to do. And obviously, just like anything, anytime you get new technology, there's always concern over Big Brother. We continue to deal with it right now. We're in legislation in Richmond. I've talked with our leaders several times about what that looks like for us. And one of the things that I can tell you that I did was I bought every single one of our senator and delegate and showed them what the capabilities of the Real-Time Crime Center were and how we were using it. And so they were very impressed and have been supportive of our use of that technology. And so again, it's been a game changer for us, and I pray that we don't lose it. Yes, sir.
One of the things that a lot of people have been seeing on social media over the last couple of months was the vehicles doing the street takeovers in certain sections of the city. And if I'm not mistaken, that was actually traced to groups that were coming from outside of the city. I don't know if that camera system was involved with that, but I was wondering if you could reassure some folks about what we learned about that.
So I'll just give you because that's an ongoing investigation, and I'll just give you just brief on that. I think when it's all said and done, people will be impressed by what is seen. So just on the surface, the three individuals that were charged, four individuals that were charged, one Elizabeth City, one Hampton, one Virginia Beach. Again, coming to our city and just, creating havoc. And so their court cases are coming up, and I think there's legislation right now going across the state to be able to hopefully start to seize some of these vehicles as well. I know Norfolk last night made an amendment for their ATVs. We've already done that. We've already changed ours and added an amendment to be able to address our ATVs folks and be able to seize some of the vehicles when they're out doing those things. So again, we're not just sitting back taking it on the chin. We are actively getting out trying to address crime as it relates to our city and ensuring that we're not being reactive but trying to be proactive. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I can talk loud as well.
Okay.
My question is, you're talking about reducing vacancy and a 30% reduction in your vacancy. What is your vacancy rate now, and how does that compare to the regions in the neighborhood?
I can't tell you how it compares to the region because I don't know what their numbers are. I can tell you our vacancies, if you're talking about fillable slots, we're 89 vacancies. And so again, challenge for us, again, up and coming, here's another challenge for us. We have a number of people in our department who all have the ability to retire. A lot of those people will represent the upper echelon of the department and some of your most experienced. And so, again, challenge that we face as an organization. It's difficult for people to, we compare ourselves to every other city, but Portsmouth is not like any other city around us. And I really think people really need to look at that and understand exactly what that means. And it's not necessarily intended to be something that's demoralizing or it's just we're not the same. We're not the same landmass. So let's be honest. If we wanted to build another community right now in our city, please tell me where there's some additional land that we haven't identified, as opposed to other cities that have land that just say, hey, you know what, we're going to build a community right here. We don't have that. We have some challenges as it relates to workforce development, education, public safety, all of those things. And so in addition to our size, being surrounded by water, military presence, which is great, but also, again, just some different challenges. And folks have to understand that when we start talking about living here in Portsmouth. And again, I showed you just the volume of calls from today. Our folks are working. I'm just, like I said, I know if you see a person that's sitting in a parking lot, I pray he hasn't been there an hour. But 9 times out of 10, he or she's been on several calls when you compare that to the counterparts throughout the day.
What percentage does that represent of the total workforce?
When you're talking about a full complement of police officers, sworn police officers, right now our complement is 253. I mean, there's nothing else I can say. I mean, that's the realism of what I'm dealing with. But I guess the other side of that is, again, with what I have, we are really making an impact with what I have. And so don't know what else to say on that.
Chief, related to the retention issue, it's a new year and we're hearing about the funds that the city is getting from casino. So, some more tax revenue is coming to the city. Has any of that trickled down to increase the pay for our officers to help with recruitment?
Yeah. So the city council, city manager, have all in the past been since I've been chief, have been very responsive to bringing us equitable to our counterparts across the region, increasing the pay, but I will also say that I've been very adamant that we should be the highest paid. Again, my challenges for what we deal with here in our city, again, I just told you we don't look like our counterparts, and so I do advocate very much for our folks and ensuring that we have a pay plan and that we are. I don't want to compete. I want to beat. Just be honest with you, so yeah, I want us to be the premier employer in Hampton Roads. I've said it before. My goal is to make this the best police department in the state of Virginia, and that is 100% my goal. And part of that is being able to be a leader as a results to compensation, benefits, and things of that nature. I can tell you that council and Mr. Carter have been very responsive, in that I did have a defense of my budget last week with him, and so I'm very optimistic that we're going to see something that hopefully that's going to be beneficial for everybody. Anybody else?
Just adding to what Jared was talking about. So I have the municipal code, and it says something about a business should not be allowed to maintain or operate in a club or any organization, a business that essentially has disorderly people meet. And I don't know if that falls in some sort of law or what, but it seems to be affecting a lot of people in that community.
Yeah, so the challenge associated with that is can you directly tie the activities to the business? Was that person directly coming from that business, or were they at that business? Did it occur? So if it occurred at the business, that's one thing. But if it occurred, again, in the parking lot, are we able to directly tie that to the particular business? So that's one of the things. Every time we have an incident like that, one of our partners, Virginia ABC, comes in to do an immediate ABC investigation on that to see if there is merit to be able to yank that individual's license. And what we generally see is the hardest part is being able to connect the business with the incident, because oftentimes it's not happening in the very same vicinity. You and I can, based on our intelligence, can say, hey, 9 times out of 10, that's where they were coming from, but unfortunately, there is a higher standard of probability with that. So again, we are deploying other mechanisms like our task force that's comprised of fire marshal, health department, zoning and inspections, again, for everybody to look at all of our businesses from a different approach. One, not to drive businesses away, but to ensure that they are operating within compliance. Do they have a business license? is their health inspection? Are they having the right number of participants? Because again, we want to make sure we're taking every opportunity to address these things.
So Chief, you just talked about some of the challenges you have in that particular issue. I know another challenge that you're wrestling with is folks who are unhoused and panhandling. Can you speak to that? Because there's been a fair amount in social media lately about the issue kind of on both sides, and I know you're kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't come out earlier. I was prepared for that one. So for me, it really bubbled last Friday, and it was well before anybody really even noticed what the situation was. And I won't go into depth with it, but the issue on Portsmouth Boulevard at City Park. For all intents and purposes, the gentleman is not homeless. However, I think people perceived him to be homeless, and because of that, just started dropping stuff off. And before you know it, he had amassed a significant amount of stuff. And so your challenge is this. Your challenge is, do you allow an individual, regardless of their living arrangement, do you allow an individual to just set up wherever they want on a city street or anything in that nature? Now, if any one of you decided that you wanted to take someone home and allow them to pitch a tent in your backyard, we would have a hard time addressing that because that is private property. But when you're talking about a city thoroughfare that's owned and maintained by the city, there are laws against us doing that. So the challenge for us as a police department, and for me as a chief, is if we do nothing, then we're contributing to the problem. But when we do something, we're being insensitive to the plight of the homeless. And so you're literally stuck in the middle with having to make a decision on how you address these issues and concerns. Obviously, we offer, and so I'll give you my stance on this. And so I don't want you to fault any Portsmouth police officer. This is Chief Jenkins' instruction, and this is my stance on this. We, as an organization, are committed to offering all the assistance that we can to the residents of the city of Portsmouth, connecting them with services, whether it be from our community organizations, whether it be from social services, whether it be from the health department, anything that we can come up with, we're committed to being able to help them. But we also understand that there are a number of folks that don't necessarily want our help, right? You would be amazed the amount of folks that actually receive funding that want to live on the street. Okay, they get checks and things of that nature. Some are even getting rich. You would be amazed. And so now you're tasked with, if you don't want our help, now we have to address the behavior associated with it. Again, the Supreme Court has said that the act of panhandling is covered by the First Amendment of freedom of speech. Okay, the Supreme Court has said that. However, the act of littering, when you're standing at an intersection, as people bring you food and everything else and you drop it down by your feet, is the behavior that has to be addressed. The individual walking in the roadway and impeding your traffic as you attempt to make a turn or go into your car or whatever the case may be has to be addressed. And so my instruction to my officers is to address the behavior. All right. We're going to continue to offer services. We're going to continue to be compassionate as an organization, which we do diligently every single day. But we're going to address the behavior. We're not going to allow tent cities. This is not a sanctuary city. None of that. I just need y'all to understand that. We're not going to allow that to happen here in our city. So if you see it, don't assume that we already know about it. report it, put it in C-click fix, because again, it is not just associated with the police department. There are other departments that have a hand in this. It goes to public works, it goes to social services, it goes to behavioral health, and all of us should be working collectively to address these solutions. So again, the one on airline, we're addressing that one right now. One of my sergeants just earlier this week went by to start identifying all of the ones that we have been able to find. Homelessness is not a crime. Just you understand that. Again, but some of the behavior sometimes associated with it can be. And so again, it's a delicate balance, and we're going to work hard to strike the balance by delivering quality services, but holding people accountable for their actions. Yes, sir. All right. Well, it looks like y'all all questioned out. Again, I hope this was informative for you. One of the things that I'm going to start in February is specifically for all Civic League presidents and vice presidents, is that every fourth Thursday, is it Thursday, Ms. Washington? I believe it's every fourth Thursday, we're going to have a Zoom meeting. And again, it's for us to discuss issues, solutions, but for us to connect, you and Civic League president and I, every fourth Thursday, for us to connect and be able to talk about issues, be able to hear about events and things of that nature. Again, for us to connect, it's difficult to make it to every single Civic League every month, but this will, I'm still coming, but this will allow me to talk to everybody, or at least hear from those that want to participate at one time. All right, so that's going to start in February. All right? Yes, ma'am.
You have the next forum scheduled already?
I do not. The next forum will be in April. It's generally the third Wednesday, but we haven't scheduled it out yet. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all coming.